Hey, so this is makeup for last week. Sorry about the lateness of it. So this week, for last week's video, the stories will be the United States, the Palestinian Authority saying the United States has no part in the U.S. Helping negotiate Middle East peace, uh, Putin pulling out of Syria, and how the UN needs help. So last week in The Guardian, President Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian Authority explained at a meeting of the one of the Islamic organizations, uh, Islamic Cooperation one? Islamic Organization of Cooperation, something along those lines. Basically, the resolutions, basically, he stated that the United States, because of the decision to name Jerusalem as the undivided capital of Israel, um, has no part in negotiating peace for the Middle East, specifically Palestine and Israel. Um, Now, the best proposal for peace, the two-state solution, would have included dividing Jerusalem between Israel and Palestine and having them both be the capital of both countries. Um, Now that is basically down the tubes because of what Trump decided to do to appeal to really the only people still supporting him, the evangelicals. Yay. And not just any evangelicals, the white evangelicals. So, you know, the best kind of evangelicals you want supporting you. Uh, I welcome the flame war below for that statement. Um, and so the other parts of this organization also backed this statement and actually said that, actually put in a resolution at the end of the meeting that Jerusalem is the capital of Palestine when it becomes a state. Something really important to note: President Erdogan, who is both a Sunni and the president of Turkey, which is an ally of the United States, as well as President Rouhani, the president of Iran and a Shia, agreed with this statement. Now that's big because Iran is closer to Russia, and Turkey, while it's leaning more and more towards Russia, is technically a United States ally. And of course, the sectarian divide. That is an important step forward, I think, in kind of trying to create some modicum of Middle East agreement. Officially, Saudi Arabia denounced the move, um, and all sorts of other nations that are Muslim majority, and the fact that the Islamic Organization of Cooperation largely unanimously agreed with this is actually a fairly big step, I think. Especially since nations that several of the nations that agreed with it are important allies for the United States in the region. Um, Another big story, also pertaining to the Middle East, actually all of these do, is that President Putin, according to Time, is withdrawing Russian troops from Syria. Syria is an important ally for Russia in the Middle East, specifically in the Mediterranean. They're also very close with Iran, but that's a different part of the Mideast. Um, Now, one would think, oh, that means he doesn't care how the war in Syria ends out. Yeah, the war is basically over. Um, there are some non-jihadi rebels left. There are, well, non-ISIS and, well, Daesh rebels left. But the war is largely over, and Daesh has been removed from all major Syrian and Iraqi territory. And according to one report, has been completely driven out of Iraq. Um, Now, a consequence of that is when Daesh loses territory, they then turn to bombing and massacring in Europe. So the something that we should all remember is Paris back a few years back. That was not a good thing that happened then. So that is something we should think about, but it shows that Russia is something that Russia we can see is that they're very strategic in how they use the resources, not how they use the resources, but not how they utilize the resources. While they were in Syria, they were officially there to attack Daesh, but they were a little bit more indiscriminate in their bombing than we try to be. And not only attacked U.S.-backed rebels, who were probably largely jihadi, they also, not jihadi is the term they want to use, extremist and militant. They also were known to target civilian locations and targets, so that's also a problem. Now, connected to this, Reuters actually reported that they're not getting the funding they need in the various refugee camps in the Middle East, so there's a fear that what happened a couple of years ago could happen again, which, if you really think about it, isn't a good thing, because if that happens again with the massive influx of refugees, there could be more deaths, there could be more crackdowns like what happened in Hungary. Now, a lot of states, a lot of countries will probably try to be as open-armed as possible, but there's probably not going to be the same openness as there was last time. So yeah, this is the video for last week, posted today. I will get the other one up in a few minutes. That one's going to be a little bit shorter than this one. See you guys in a few minutes.